So you are looking for a perspective shift, or maybe you're not. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming that you clicking on this video means that you are looking for some kind of perspective shift in your life. Maybe you feel like you aren't satisfied in life, so you're looking for something to change, right? You're looking for someone to change your perspective on life so maybe you can become more motivated. Now, my name is Marcus. This is Discover Ignite, where we discover possibilities and ignite change. And today I want to talk about perspective shift. Now, there was many different times in my early years, right, I've had perspective shift, and this is essentially just through the natural processes of experiences that I've had in my life, right, where my parents have essentially moved around, so I've had many different experiences, and so that's changed my perspective on a lot of things. Now, some people are stuck in specific locations their whole life, and so their perspective is essentially based off of, their experiences. They're just living in that essentially one horse town, right? And so to change your perspective, right, maybe you feel unmotivated, maybe you feel unwilling to want to go do new things, try new things, and you're looking for a perspective shift to hopefully, light fire under your butt and start you doing something, right? And this is the biggest thing, is to start experiencing different things, right? And I'm talking like random things that you are possibly curious about, and you might question yourself, well, I don't even know if that is something I can do, right? And it is not until you actually go and try where you're like, man, I really like this. Or maybe you don't like it, and maybe you decide not to ever do it, but the case of the matter is that you're trying new things, and ultimately to change your perspective is by experiencing it. And I've always talked about this in my videos. One of my biggest perspective shifts was, going plant-based, going vegan. Now, I know that word vegan throws a lot of people off, but just bear with me right now. This changed my perspective completely, because my perspective was honed in on the fact that, everybody, essentially jokes about being vegan, and, they post all these memes and stuff about, people eating salad, and there's a steak, and they show lettuce and all these other, weird things, but which in the fact that none of that is true. Right? I mean, my perspective was like that for such a long time, even, months beforehand, before actually going plant-based. And that ultimately changed because I had health concerns, right? And I think if there's a major event, you'll have a perspective change very quickly. And a lot of times, I've had, over the past couple of years, I've had many extremely dramatic perspective changes when it's come to health, when it's come to divorce, when it's come to the loss of a parent. There's many different things that have played out in my life that really caused me to do a full perspective change over my life. And to have a good perspective shift, I think it involves experiences that are outside of what you're normally used to. And that's the biggest thing, is breaking your routine, is finding what your normal routine is and trying to break that the best that you can and find something that's completely off the wall. And another thing I've also found out is not just the experiences, right? Experiences can dramatically change your perspective on things, whether you want to or not, whether that's some event that happens in your life, or perhaps, you go out and try to experience things that can change your perspective. But ultimately, I think, doing some research, just like I was talking about the vegan thing, I mean, it's changing your perspective, right, is by researching a little bit, right? Because a lot of times, we base a lot of thoughts and ideas off of society in itself, and society in itself, says things have got to be this particular way, and if we go, B instead of A, everybody's gonna judge us, so at least we think so. And a lot of times we hold that, or we put that pedestal on a pedestal, right, and assume that that's the end all be all, because this is what everybody's doing, and if I go against it, I can't deal with the fact that everybody else is going to, essentially make fun of me or tease me or whatever the case is. And this is something to keep in mind, right? Because society can have a big pull on a lot of people, and a lot of people don't want to go against that. A lot of people want to go without making any noise. And ultimately, if you want to be happy, you have to try those new things, research stuff, right? Like, and go out and do it. And if someone judges you, oh well, you know, you're on the journey of trying to find what makes you happy, and you're not going to be able to do that by worrying about what other people are going to say, or what society's going to say about your choices, and what you plan on doing in your life to make yourself happy, to bring value to your life, to see success how you define it. And all these things are important by not allowing that filter, the society's filter on your judgments. And that is one of the biggest things, is to get over that and allow yourself to research and go out and try these new things, and you can find some dramatic shifts in perspective. Like I said, I've had many different events, not by choice. Some of them, you know, I've essentially happened through choice, but they have changed my perspective so much so that my life is done essentially almost a 180 from where it was. And a lot of the things I thought I wanted in life, all of that has changed. A lot of my beliefs have changed. And I've talked about this as well, as challenging your beliefs and thinking stuff is a specific way, because you really haven't done any research to back essentially that up, right? You essentially, you know, go through a couple of videos, take people's opinions, don't actually sit and think about that thing for yourself, right? Because again, we're looking through a filter, society filter, and if it doesn't pass through that filter, then it's not something we can think about. And so that's ultimately something you want to think and concentrate on, and provide a lot of time, energy, and effort, you know, coming up to your own conclusion. Is this something that would work for me? Is this something that would improve my life? Is this something that aligns with the things that I want in life, that I value? And, you know, I've always talked about also challenging other beliefs, right? Maybe you pick up a new belief, and all of a sudden you feel like that value is just not working for you. After maybe you go like a couple years, matter of fact, and you feel like, hey, you know, this new change I've had, I enjoyed it from the start, but now I don't enjoy it. So it's your life. Change it again, right? It's a change of perspective at that point, right? Because you don't see value in it anymore. And so why hold on to something that doesn't give you value anymore, right? Because life is so short, right? We tend to forget that. We think we have this abundance of time, and a lot of times that's not the case. This is not the case, right? I mean, tomorrow's not guaranteed, and I know you've heard that a million times. But you know, in dealing with a close death in my life, right? I've noticed the value of time. I've noticed the value that, hey, you don't have this abundant in time. It's not guaranteed, and no one's giving you a warranty, or an extended warranty to say that, hey, on this particular date you expire, right? You haven't had an expired date. You don't know when your expired date is. You know, it could be tomorrow, it could be in the next hour, it could be in the next couple years. You don't know. So why essentially, you know, worry about those things that don't make any sense to you, and explore those things. Go for those experiences and research some stuff that you've been curious about, and you find these different things that dramatically change your perspective. And when you're not doing this, you're essentially going off a perspective that you've almost essentially lived your whole life, right? And a lot of times I was in this cloud for the longest time as well, where it took a lot of dramatic changes for me to really change my perspective so massively that I've started changing my perspective on life and what I want to accomplish in life, and reframing a lot of different aspects of my life to a point that I can actually, you know, start really enjoying life and focus on the things that matter and not things that somebody else says matters. And so that's ultimately it, is to just find those things that you're curious about, experience as much as you can, because I guarantee you, when you start doing that and stop saying no to a lot of things and going with, you know, whatever society wants you to do, you realize that there's a lot out there that will change your perspective and shift your perspective in a positive light, or more towards your direction that you want to go. And you find that the more of these things, these perspective shifts, these, you know, the options that are out there, because that's ultimately what it is, right? When you get a perspective shift, options really open up for you. And that's what I've really enjoyed when I made this change, you know. And I always mention the vegan plant-based diet, because I always assumed it was a certain way until I actually experienced it myself. I realized, wow, you know, society was telling me this whole thing this whole time, and I'm actually doing it, and you know, it's done tremendous things for me. Like, what else is out there that society's telling me not to do or not to go with the grain? Because what else is different? What are the options out there, right? And it really opens your eyes and really makes you think completely differently, because we've all just been essentially, you know, walking down this hallway, right? And all the doors are closed. And you are essentially told, you know, don't stray too far. Don't be opening any doors you're not supposed to be in. When in fact, why not just walk down the hall and open every door and say hi to everybody in there and experience every room all the way down and see how much your life changes, right? Because if you go down that one perspective, you are essentially, you know, it's going to be lonely. It's going to be quiet. You're not going to enjoy life because you're just so narrow vision, right? Of getting to the end of the hallway as opposed to stopping and opening and trying a door, or stop and open, trying a door. Hey, there's some cool people I met in this room, right? Or hey, wow, look at what they're doing in this room, and man, I really like this. I'm gonna go ahead and get this and gather these people. Let's go in the hallway. Let's go to the next door. And then, I mean, it's just this chain reaction that you cause, and realizing the options out there are unlimited. But yet we still stay focused on specific things, a specific vision, a specific perspective that essentially makes us feel like we become essentially in this zombie state that we live most of our lives in. So I hope this video has actually helped you guys, and if it has and you enjoyed this video, remember to smash the like button for the way out. So next time, I will see you guys later.